now says that counties will only provide essential services. KTN's Ibrahim Karanja reports.
For most Kenyans, the standoff in the Senate over the third-generation revenue allocation formula has for long been equated to a melodrama, a cat-and-mouse game involving the country's lawmakers in the upper house. But today's developments effectively changes this perception as a reality hits home. Early Wednesday, and a virtual meeting between the Council of Governors that was also attended by Treasury CS Ukuri Yatani, representatives from the Office of the Attorney General and that of the Controller of Budget, and whose agenda was the disbursement of 50% of the monies for the financial year 2019-2020, pending the resolution of the stalemate, marked the start to a crisis. All medical facilities under county governments will effectively not admit any more patients nor provide outpatient services considered non-essential. This means that persons in need of admissions in county facilities will seek alternative services from private hospitals. County ambulances will also not be available for your use.
This has been occasioned by the delay to pass the County Allocation Revenue Act 2020. Hence, a delay in disbursement of the equitable share of revenue.
Governors accusing several institutions of the failure that has led to this gridlock.
National government cannot choose which part of the law to follow and which part of the law they are to ignore.
More than 3 months into the financial year 2020-2021, county employees have continued to work and offer services, with some of them without receiving their salary.
Aside from health, Kenyans are also likely to work and live in dirty towns as garbage collection and basic sanitation will be stopped. Construction of new roads, that of new waterworks, licensing and agricultural services will also be affected. You are also likely to find all county government offices closed for 2 weeks, as a communique from the Council of Governors also instructed that all county employees proceed on leave.
Especially sisi tuko na watoto wadogo, tutakuwa inatusumbua sana. Hiyo ni kitu moja. Kitu ya pili, kitu kama hizo hata hiyo mochari bado unaona bado inatuaffect.
This has so far been termed as the biggest struggle yet facing devolution in Kenya. Senators have, however, vowed to reprimand any governor that will stall services at the counties. Ibrahim Karanja, KTN News.
Right, and the question you're asking you this morning is, what do you think the biggest threat to devolution is? Amatrix Ingado, the hashtag to use this morning is KTN Morning Express. Let me know what you think about this, and I shall be making your views a part of the show. Some of your comments are coming in. I shall be sampling them in a few moments, but let us get into the discussion itself right now. And joining me this morning is Professor John Lonyangapuo, West Pokot County Governor, and as well as Professor Kivutha Kibwana, Makueni County Governor. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Right. So I shall start off by some of your comments, Governor Kivutha, about what is happening here. I sample some of your views and opinions on Twitter. And you have complained about what's happening right now. You have said, how can Senate miserably fail Kenyans and then blame the presidency and the Kenya governors? Several county employees have come to me after their rental premises were padlocked. Senators continue to draw their salaries and sitting allowances. How are they defending devolution? I mean, you're painting a very grim picture of the very basics in terms of the well-being of employees who benefit from the employment of the county government. So could you get deeper into that and explain to us why this is not a very comfortable time for county governments across the nation?
Thank you very much. Yes, as I indicated in that message, the fact of the matter is for now, 3 months, going into 3 months, there is no money which has come to the counties for 2021 financial year. And the Senate is supposed to be the defender of devolution. Actually, that is their principal role.
Yes.
And if for now, I think it's 12 sittings or so, they are not able to arrive at a win-win situation so that nobody loses. And it is not rocket science. It is something that is very easy. And then they tell us that we must continue to offer services. And they have not made sure that there is funds to the counties. So they're asking us to do a miracle, and actually they are extremely unfair because they are now beginning to threaten us. Like my senator, Mutula Ketonzo, begins to say that we shall impeach you. They threaten the chair of Paranya as if he made a solo decision, and we made a decision together. Therefore, the country expects Senate to do what it must do, and Senate should not blame governors, blame the presidency, blame, because they have a constitutional mandate to do what they must do, and it is actually not a difficult thing to do to make sure places where there is, significant population, they get what CRA promised.
Yes.
And they make sure that also coast, northeastern, eastern, also we get what we have been getting before, and it's a win-win situation. So one doesn't understand this reluctance, and maybe it is Senate which wants actually to ensure that there is no devolution in Kenya.
Okay. Now, Governor Lonyangapuo, if you can hear me, my question to you would be about the goodwill or the intentions behind this. And Governor Kivutha has shed has talked about it, touched on it a bit. What do you think the reason behind the stalemate is? Because some would argue that they are fighting for the common Mwananchi. They don't want some counties to gain at the expense of others. What is your understanding of the situation and what should happen?
First of all, let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you, including my brother Kifuta Gebwana, to watch and talk with me. I'm in the county of Hidden Treasure, West Pokot.
Yes.
Right in the village. Today is a day when I will be celebrating the scorecard that we have just released for the 3 years we have been in office, our third year.
Okay.
And as I speak to you, I am surrounded with villagers because I slept here last night, Pokot Central,
right,
which is our 4th sub-county. And I want to tell you that what my brother, Governor Kifuta, just said is quite true. That services are really running towards getting grounded. And Schedule 4 of the Constitution states exactly what's supposed to be done by counties. But when Senate, the House of Honor, fails in their duty to do what they are supposed to do so that the National Treasury can release funds to counties, then it means that that arm, a very essential arm, has failed her duty. And remember, I was a senator in that house for 2013, 2017. And I have no kind words for my colleagues who remain there, that you are actually living in your own world. Do you not remember that we have just had a terrible season of corona from March till now? The economy has not revived. Things are not normal. So I want to say that the Senate needs to wake up and really do what is supposed to be done. When you see a chairman of Council of Governors pronouncing and coming with that statement, Paranya did not sleep and wake up with that statement.
Yes.
It is well taught. We are on the ground and we are seeing the services like health are not doing well. Although I have high regards for our health workers, I give them a lot of commendation. They have really struggled during these tough times to offer services, even when salaries are delayed to running to 3 months.
Yes.
And yet it has not delayed in paying themselves salary. So national government employees, they get their salary by 25th of every month.
Yes.
Now, what are we trying to portray? Yet we are the people who stay with the ordinary Mwananchi in the ground. So these simple services that were declared by law, we should be enabled to give out to the people, and Senate is our defender. And I would want senators to come out of that house. It looks like a lot of sanitization needs to be done inside there. This is a season we have terminologies we never used to hear about.
That is true.
Washing your hands.
Right. Could you, Governor, if you could just lean back a little bit so that we can see your face. I think you have cut off and the viewers cannot see you properly. But as we continue with that, I'd like to bring to the fore to Governor Kivutha a quote by COG Chair Governor Oparanya, where he seems to be wondering what the fuss is about this time. He says, it seems like they have just woken up. This thing has been around for the past 5 years. So I'll bring it to you, the debate that they are basing the stalemate on, the population versus landmass issue. Where do you stand on this? And do you think this is a valid reason for there to be this protracted or this elongated debate that is seeing the county government suffer?
In terms of how people prepare to develop, for example, a formula, there was a lot of time and for discussion so that this could have been concluded long time ago. But that didn't happen because the Commission of Revenue Allocation was able to do its work and then present for Senate so that Senate could now make a decision about the formula because it is Parliament that has to do that according to the law and specifically Senate. But Senate did not ensure that it was seized of the matter. And it delays, and therefore at the tail bit, when the other formula is about to expire, that is now when they start a conversation. So they failed in their work in terms of beginning to do this long time ago, so to speak. But you see, when you look at, for example, you look at the solution that they have.
Yes.
We know for a fact that places like West Pokot and places like Northeastern Coast, parts of Eastern, and other places in our country, they were marginalized. And the 15% that came to us through the constitution of the monies, the revenues that we make as a country, basically that 15% was to equalize, was the one to equalize our counties so that some of them were not badly affected. And therefore, when this is shared, if now you say that you're going to take away like 1 million from some of the 1 billion from some of the counties,
right.
500, you are basically saying that they can't do any development anymore. They'll just be paying salaries. Even some of them will have a challenge of paying salaries. So the first thing to do would have been to say, we retain the division of the 15% as is. Then we also look for money from the 85%, which is normally left to the national level.
Right.
We look for money there and make sure that those other counties which have got a big population, like where, they need, the more people will come to hospital, more people will do agriculture and so on. They are also given more money there because we are just talking about like 40 billion or so. So that now the population formula is satisfied, and the equity formula is also satisfied, so that it's a win-win situation. Right. And finally, we have been told that there is going to be some changes so that we get, coming next financial year, we get like about 35%. So that the money which comes to devolution is about 35%, which means that we will be getting like about 632 billion shillings. So if that happens, also this quarreling that is going on will not be an issue. So I think
but Governor, it seems like there is a sort of a lack of trust when it comes to some of these promises. There was a 50 billion shilling offer that was rejected recently. Why do you think that is the case?
The 50 billion is for next financial year. And it is not for this financial year. It is not for now the conversation that Senate had. And of course, if Treasury and if the National Executive was to increase the money that goes to devolution from 15%, because the debate has been it should go up to at least 35%,
yes,
or 5%, or it can even now, the National Executive can say that that money is increased because the Constitution simply offers a minimum 15%. It doesn't offer a maximum. So actually, by a decision of cabinet, that money can be increased right away.
right.
But of course, we know we have challenges of public debt, we have challenges of COVID, and therefore the economy is depressed, and we have not been getting enough revenue. But I honestly think that Senate should not play games with Kenyans. Senate should not blame, the presidency or blame anybody else. This issue is at their doorstep, and please let them be faithful to the Kenyans who elected them. And some of them even want to be governors. So
yes.
how will they be governors if for 3 months, for example, there is no money? What miracle will they perform?
Okay. Now over to you, Governor Lonyangapuo. We have had a lot of talk of lobbying that is ongoing between trying to get numbers to shift their stance from one side to the other. Meanwhile, we are having a situation where county governments might actually be not functioning at all. Do you think this is, given the situation, particularly in your area, do you think this is a justified move, that things actually are bad enough for there to be no services, and well, the people will not be getting the right health services? We've been told in that story earlier on, ambulances, you might not be able to call an ambulance to come to you. And of course this, while they're fighting for the people, the situation where governments have to lock down will also mean that the people are still suffering. So what is your stance on the move that has been taken by the Council of Governors?
First of all, let's recall what is written in the Constitution and due for counties.
Yes.
There are some counties in Kenya that were categorized as marginalized, one of them being my county. And the Constitution gave a prescription by offering to give money called equalization funds from 2010. Let me tell you, to date, we have been hearing of that money. It has not come to those 14 or 16 counties that were cited, so that services like power, connectivity, water, roads would have been elevated to a level where some counties have reached before. So the Constitution is well thought of, but there is no goodwill from National Treasury. I don't blame Senate so seriously.
Yes.
On this one. Look at this to go here. So really, there are some funds that we needed also to access very fast. That money is available. Why is it not being released? And who is the signature? Why should the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury be the only fellow who imagines that the West Pokot needs money and so we can give them in doses like Panadol? I want us to be so sincere to release that fund, release the money. We will not be having this kind of stalemate we have today when some money has been given. Two, I'm hearing that some counties have depressed population now, because population is one of the indicators also that assigns funds. Now, when we say that some counties got illegal allocation of funds from 2013 to date, 8 years later, we now want to take them back by reducing their capitation. Were we not bold enough as a nation to tell those counties that their numbers are not adding up? Why are we waiting 8 years later on to say we need to reduce? My prescription for that would be counties should get what they were getting.
Right.
We need to assign funds for counties that were also marginalized in the course of this time. Like us, West Pokot, we are supposed to get extra 770 million now proposed by this formula.
Yes.
Which means we also suffered backward negatively in terms of development. National Treasury, we have funds. Let's not cheat ourselves. Kenyans can wake up to say we save to utilize the fund we have, so little every pilferage in the national government, in the county government, we need to give. So I want to say we can be able to sort out this problem only if we are sincere enough. Can senators also tell us whether they have influence and interference from externally of their house? Because if Senate can just be confused for the last 3 months and without sitting down, what could be happening? Would the national government be having a hand in it? If it is true, why can't we also call ourselves and sit together? I proposed that as those of us who are in Senate in the first term, we could call ourselves, all of us, the governors and the senators, and even eventually the MPs, because those people have they have a part they play, the money bill, so that we all sit and reason as a family.
Indeed.
We have been made one now because of the confusion that has been brought by the COVID-19 corona peace problem, meaning any other external threat like this one can be solved if we all sit down together. With goodwill, goodwill from all of us. I know the president maybe has genuine reason that he wants to have a smooth running of the country the way he has planned in his agenda for. So our colleagues in the Senate, the National Treasury that may not be honoring also the approvals of Senate should also be candid enough to tell us what is happening. Otherwise, we on the ground here, let's not blame Oparanya. Oparanya is an agent. Even if I was in that seat today, I would speak the way he spoke.
Yes. Now, my question to you, just because you brought up the Constitution, there is a lot, the law has, there are systems that foresee this type of situation, and it is supposed to be that 50% of the previous formula and the allocation can be given to the county governments to ensure that they continue with their operations as they try to figure out the rest of, and debate it out and find the right formula. What is your take on the fact that this has failed to happen, because that would be key in ensuring that we continue with the operations of the county governments without any interference or the kind of suffering that Governor Kivuta has pointed out on Twitter?
That is where the problem is. Look at it this way. Ukuri Yatani is the current cabinet secretary for Treasury, former governor. Lusaka, Speaker of the Senate, former governor. And I'm told both of them may want to go back again to come and join us this side. Those of us who are here, we were in Senate. Now we are in governorship. You see, everybody knows where the shoe pinches most. We need to come out of our competitive spirit and the inability to push this wheel and to say, let us all reason together as a country and move to sit. In fact, I will ask that the Senate committee responsible for finance or the Senate leadership actually calls a meeting the way you have called. All of us can appear on Zoom.
Yes.
And then we keep our program and see what needs to be done so that we don't continue any longer services. West Pokot is the most mountainous county in Kenya. And you can imagine that my ambulances are terribly crowded now because the roads are in bad shape. There has been enough in this year. So mountainous roads are like now rivers. So how do I repair the ambulances? Where do we get this and that? Yet we are struggling to do all this. And this is just a classic example of West Pokot. Makueni, Northeastern the same. Even Siaya and Nyeri are in the same category. So we need to really stand as one nation and to say this problem needs to be sorted out.
Okay. Governor Kivuta, when we think of the Equalization Fund and how it has failed in what it was meant to do, as well as that 50% that was set for times such as this, what comes to mind and what do you think is going wrong that these systems are not being put into play to ensure that things continue or the wheels continue rolling at the county governments?
I think just also to add a little to what my fellow professor governor has said.
Yes.
There is clear law in terms of Regulation 134 of the Public Finance Management Regulations, which says if there is a stalemate like there is now, about 50% can be made available through Treasury, so that as the discussion continues, counties are not unable to provide services. So there is clear law.
Yes.
And therefore, I think the Attorney General gave an opinion that still that particular law is unconstitutional. And of course, it is the High Court which speaks about the constitutionality or otherwise of laws. So even as we struggle for, this new formula, there can be a reprieve to county governments. But having said that, and that is what we really expect, so that we can forestall this inability for us to offer services, because it's not us who, strictly speaking, are shutting the counties. It's because there is no money, and you can't, run counties without money, or any other place. But to come back to your question, you see, one of the centerpieces of the 2010 Constitution is devolution. And this is what really has begun to equalize Kenya. Some people in Northeastern used to say, how is the rest of Kenya? They felt they were not in Kenya because development was not going there.
True.
And now they are beginning to say, we are in Kenya because, for the first time, they have tarmac roads, they have, hospitals where there are theaters. So if, like in 1964, anybody interferes with devolution, you have killed our future. And therefore, whether it is the 15%, which we hope, will go to 35, 45%, if it is what Professor is talking about the other special equalization fund for places which were really behind.
Yes.
Because there were those who are really behind, some behind, and then others, doing reasonably well. So if this infrastructure of devolution is interfered with, like 1964, and devolution, decentralization is shut down, then you are talking about Kenya becoming a failed state.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what we want.
No. So moving forward, when you see, ideally, how would you have this pan out? Because it seems like a lot of the solutions or the options on the table have been explored, but every time there's no white smoke. So for you, what would you have to have happen ideally?
I think, as I said earlier, it is pretty simple. It is simple in terms of we cannot contest the question, and I think even also Professor said this, we can't contest that if any area has a lot of population, because they will need more hospitals, they'll need more medicines. They should get what the CRA, the Commission of Revenue Allocation, said they would. And also, these counties which had been marginalized should get what they have been getting, and hopefully, when the devolution component is increased, they will get more. And because there is the 85%, which remains at the national level as of now, we also need to discuss how is that 85% shared.
Yes.
So that those who have a lot of population, get some of it. Some of it also go to the other parts of the country. And this has also to do with how we manage our resources. Because if we manage them well, they will be available to be used to really have this win-win situation. And therefore, I think the senators and the professor is kind. And they, we like them because they protect devolution according to the Constitution. They protect the counties. But I think they are suppressing the smoke, the white smoke. They as of now, like, you can't meet for 12 times and you can't solve a simple issue, and you can't empathize with your country, with your people, and give them a solution, because that's what leaders do.
Yes, indeed, and because they do understand what the problem is at the grassroots level. So when we talk about the current times, we're facing COVID-19. You're told that the epicenter, particularly in the country, is shifting to the counties. Now, Governor Lonyangapuo, I'd like your take on the situation as far as health is, and what this shutting down could do to that fight against COVID-19 and other health needs. You earlier talked about the fact that your ambulances are all grounded. What more could happen in terms of health in your county, and perhaps you can project to other possibilities in other counties?
You remember, we have a law that compels counties to buy medical equipment and drugs from KEMSA.
Yes.
Is at the center of issues at the moment. So that's another challenge in itself.
Yes.
I am sure, and I've talked to my colleagues who remained in Senate, that they should be able to do something today. You know, tomorrow is Friday, they're not sitting. So today is a massive day in the afternoon. I'm hoping that they can come with the smoke. Everybody was waiting for the white smoke.
Yes.
Or blue, whichever they want to call it. But that we should be able to tomorrow morning to celebrate our stand as a nation, that the Senate has resolved this for once.
Right.
I know that it's not difficult because at the moment I also have my senator sitting in a road. The fellow has enough problems with me because I keep calling. What are you doing about it? It is not supposed to happen. Otherwise, I'll move people to your home, and so on and so on. So we should be able to give ourselves confidence that we have the spirit and the will to do it if we are willing enough. There are some sacrifices also needs to be done for this stalemate to be an fail, and we can no longer continue anymore longer than this, because people have had, and staff already we were already scaled down because of the COVID-19. People operating from homes. Now, when we add the last bit that we now shut, which means the little percentage that was already are failing themselves will also go, and people will be now to stay at home because what are they eating here? Because they need salary, they need this, they need that. But we should be able to solve it the way I see. And my colleague has put clearly that if we choose to decide to work together, we can do it. And this money is enough for all of us. And this money is not dished out to be utilized the way you want. There are regulations, there are rules to be used. That's why sometimes I have problems. Some of my colleagues who are in Senate, they think the money is going to be paraded and dished out the way somebody thinks. There are procedures. You cannot just say, where have you taken this money? Come and follow it. Come and check the way they have been spent. We need medical services to be up and running. We need water to be up and running. Our roads are in terrible shape. God gave us a lot of rain this year. You can imagine the are not very good. We are enjoying the little we are doing now because my people used to go to the main highway from Dar es Salaam, Isumu to Southern Sudan to Khartoum. They want to go and see the tarmac. Now they can see tarmac in their small villages. So there's no need to go for any tour. Things are happening now in areas which there was none before.
Yes.
You can see electricity in areas it was not there. This devolution is the way to go, not decentralization.
No doubt about that. Now, Governor Kivuda, when you see the situation right now and a health situation that has been pointed out by your colleague, what do you make of the situation going forward in case there is a lockdown? And perhaps let's just talk about a possible negative outcome, because there's no guarantee that that would happen. They have met several times that no solution has come out of it. So when it comes to health, the fight against COVID-19 and the current situation with devolution and health not being figured out 100%, what do you think would happen, and why should we be wary of this being a continued situation?
I think for now, for example, even if all the counties were to keep, let us focus on just the hospitals, the health sector, because of COVID-19. If we were to keep them open, the people will come there, there will be no drugs. They'll, they will just come there like used to happen long time ago when these facilities didn't have, medicines and so on. So they come there, they are told that there are no medicines. Of course, assuming that the workers who have not received salaries and some of whom have had their rented places closed down by the landlords, assuming that they would still continue to come to work. So we will be telling a lie to our people that you can come to these facilities and yet there is no medicines whatsoever. Also the contractors who would, like now contractors, you can't ask them to do jobs in the counties because they know there is no money and they will not get paid if they have loans from the bank. They will not be able to pay the loan. So I think that is why, because of the COVID and the question of flattening and all that kind of stuff, I think we have seen in countries abroad, we have seen that there is a second wave, there is a third wave.
Right.
So we need to be more careful. So I think what we can do is continue to plead with the Senate, to plead with the national government, executive, to say that according to the existing law, like what I quoted, Regulation 134 of the Public Management, Finance Management Regulations, let the 50% be released so that we can, because that regulation says with that 50% you can do development as well as pay
recurrent expenditures,
salary. And yes, precisely. Let us do that so that we don't more or less create an artificial problem. We are asking as governors, we are asking our citizenry, we are asking our country to realize that governors cannot run any service when there is no money for it. Even the revenue that we used to ourselves, the revenue that we used to mobilize on source of revenue. We were told, first of all, that we should not charge cess because of the food situation during COVID. Now, of course, because the bars are closed and generally the county economy is also are significantly closed. For example, nobody will pay for a license for a bar where they are not doing anything. So our revenues, just like at the national level, are completely depressed. So let us not allow this crisis to deepen so that we get a situation where we are not able together to be able to rise from a difficult situation. Let us not court disaster as it were, when citizens begin to say, all of you leaders, you are not, good. You are not thinking about our services. And that's why I agree to conclude with my colleague that it should be a give consultation, give and take. We can help, if we come to the table also genuinely, we are invited to the table genuinely. We can also help because it's a national issue and we get a solution. And because even I personally, I don't like, blame people, but let them not also blame us when they know that they are the ones to offer the solution by law, but we don't mind informally discussing so that we can be able to surmount this particular problem. So as a chief whip of the Council of Governors on behalf of my, and we actually really, even as other governors, we are saying Paul Etoparanya because he's being bashed, being bashed a bit and so on, because it is not saying his thing. He's saying what we have realistically set down and we have advised the country that please let money be available so that we can proceed with devolution services to our people. We can support the 4 agendas, of the president, and we can support Vision 2030, and we want good for our country as governance.
Absolutely. And the Council of Governors actually had to come out and shed light on that decision and say this is not Governor Oparanya's decision, but the entire council's. Now, Governor Lonyangapuo, when you think about this situation, this seems like the county governments are at the mercy of these situations, such as the stalemate at the Senate. So do you, maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but do you envision a time where the county governments can be so self-sufficient and independent economically to the point that whatever happens in such situations do not hold them ransom, that they can actually have the sort of economies that can ensure that the recurrent expenditures are met and even development happens as the senators figure out what they can do about revenue sharing allocations?
I don't think there will be a time when counties will be independent.
Yes.
Remember, Kenya is one.
Yeah, financially though, in terms of creating their own revenue.
You cannot create more than what you get from the National Treasury. Let me put it this way. Local revenue, which we collect daily from all these other sources, is not enough to run counties. If you look at it now, the way the local revenue has been dispersed because of the COVID rules and regulations, any money we get, some people imagine that it's used as source. Never. We collect money and it's swept immediately to CRF account in central bank, and it is very little. West Pokot, we normally collect between 120 to 150 million, depending on how we are doing, because of the way the county is.
Yes.
Some counties as much as 2 billion, 3 billion, and so on. But their main source of running county money is the money we collect through KRA, which is also now subdivided through CRA. And Senate is supposed to pass that the way we are waiting for it.
Yes, yes.
So to me, I think we should not entertain even the idea of saying I want to be, I will get my own money, then I can run my own things. That's not Kenya anymore. We need the funds that we collect through all the taxes, goes to National Treasury through the Kenya Revenue Authority, to be subdivided accordingly to the law and given on timely basis. Now I have nearly 3,000 plus staff working in my county.
Right.
And almost everybody took a loan. Now the loans, everybody has become a defaulter, including me. Now the banks are easily there, and all the children have been removed from school, and we had paid fees. So you can imagine the stress level. And parents are pretending that they are not stressful. You go to their homes, you will see. So it doesn't benefit anybody for Senate to show their oratory skills or to show their competitiveness in talking this and that. I want us to ask them to be bold enough. We have young tax sharp. I've been watching the senator for Makueni, Kina Mutula Kilonso, Kina Sakacha, Murkomen. We have these young people. I mean, they need to sit down with the other giants who are there, Kina Orengo and Wetangula, and pass this in, even today, so that, well, and then again, Treasury should not also have to wait for Senate.
Right.
50% is allowed. And the Attorney General, who is a fine man and a good lawyer, like Ifuta Kibwana, he needs to see how the nation can be assisted. You cannot just sit down and say, the law doesn't say this, but eventually we have to be paid anyway.
Now,
Governor
Kibwana, all things considered under law, is there a way to circumnavigate this situation and survive this situation and the stalemate? And as we conclude, could you tell us, could you give us your closing comments as well?
Yes, let me also add what my colleague has said, that the structure of the Constitution was such that most of the revenue was going to be collected by the national government, unlike other federal jurisdictions. So that we were left to get trading licenses, to get a bit of land rates, and therefore those counties with towns and where there's lots of plots and so on will make more money in terms of own source. So there is an inherent limitation to the constitution so that the counties cannot raise a lot. In other jurisdictions, that is different. And even at independence, 1963, the regions were able to raise more taxes and could have been self-sufficient if devolution then had, or Majimbo had continued. But I think for me, the solution is two-step. One, for what we are calling Regulation 134 to be followed so that there is 50% coming to the counties. And that 50% comes in bits through the controller of budget so that people do, they get money 1 month, they get money. It used to be a lot of money like 3 months ago, but subsequently we like get money every month and so on and so forth. So that is the first thing. The second thing is just agreeing on what we call a win-win. The governors are not interested in anybody losing. If you have significant population, it's your right to get enough money for those services. If you had been marginalized before, and the constitution had been kind by now beginning to equalize you with the rest of Kenya, that should continue. And the 85%, and even if we increase it later, and it can be increased even without, it can be increased even tomorrow. Cabinet can sit down and say the 15% now becomes 35%, 40. Japan, Nigeria, South Africa, the devolved units get significant money, almost like half.
Yes.
So I think for me, that is how we can, solve this situation. And we are asking Senate, because the Senate and the governors are joined at the hip, because both of them promote devolution.
Yes.
And of course, the other parts of the national executive. So
yes.
To conclude my concluding remarks is, let us not create a crisis out of this situation, so that now the citizens, in actual fact, the citizens should now ask their senators, why is there this delay? They should ask their senators, why is there this delay, so that the senators can respond now to the citizens. But we don't want to create a crisis, and we are pleading for that white smoke or blue smoke, as my colleague, that Senate.
Yes. Now, Governor Lonyangapuo, your closing remarks.
My closing remarks, we should never lose hope. I've read the history of Kenya from 1963, the way my brother has put it. At no time has a Kenyan lost hope. We are a giant. We always overcome our problems together. And that is why these incidents, we want Senate, which we are watching today and tomorrow, to shine for us by making sure that what is required to be done by them, they do it. And then the National Treasury releases the funds. And then when they release the funds, every arm of government is allowed to check on how we are performing, how each other one is doing, and so on and so on. So that sometimes recklessness comes where people think if this money is released, it's being misused. What do you think is in your heart when you are beginning to talk like that? There are regulations. No government money is flashed to the fingers of anybody the way you imagine.
Okay.
And that's why we have DPP, we have everybody. They are working with us and they are in offices. I want to imagine that today is a day that we are going to overcome this problem. And from the next week, all shall be well. And like my brother has put it, we need to honor our staff in health because of the way they have navigated this problem of COVID together with us. We have seen the way they have suffered. We have seen the way we are going to come out together with them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Professor John Lonyangapuo is the governor for West Pokot County, as well as Professor Kivutha Kibwana, who is the governor for Makueni County. We shall be taking a short break. Remember, you can continue this discussion online and tell us what you think. What do you think is